Hello, welcome to today's class on Fusion 360. So, currently, I will be guiding you through how the interface of Fusion 360 is. Let me just take you back to the initial interface. So, when you log in into your Fusion 360, you see your Show Data panel. I'm currently working on offline mode. When you go to this place and click offline, you are going to see we are working offline, no connection. Fusion 360, the way it works is save your work to cloud so that when next you can share your work to another person that is modeling, and when next you want to model, it's very easy for you to continue from where you stopped. Now, you will see we have the file new design, electronic design, new drawings, and the rest. If you check, you will see the rest panel. Now you want to save your file, Ctrl S, normal shortcut key, or you come here and press F. To undo or to redo, to go to your home tab, this is what your home tab looks like. We are currently in offline mode, so it will be loading. It has to load your work that is previously here. So let's just go to the mode that we are. So now, like I said, there are different type of design when it comes to Fusion 360. We have the first one, which is to create mechanical design that contain mostly prismatic geometry. So when you want to create designs like that, you go. There is another one called the generative workflow, where you create multiple designs that meet your geometric performance and manufacturing requirements. You can come to this place. Now when you come here, you see render. When you want to render your work for realism, you can come here. Animation, simulation, manufacturing. When you want to create your drawing either from your part or from your animation, that's where you come to. Now basically, Fusion 360 interface is more like SolidWorks interface and some other software out there, their interface. They have similar tools, so it's usually very easy to maneuver your way through the software. And like I always said, when you have the fundamentals of one software, it's very easy to learn the other software, and this is no exception. So now, firstly, in anything that you want to do, when you want to model anything, you have to be very good at creating your 2D sketch. 2D sketch is very important to assessing or to creating any model of your choice. So I'm going to be walking you through 2D sketch, and from there we can progress, and we'll be doing a project-based learning. So some things I might not take time to explain it, but when I'm applying it in a particular design, I'll be explaining them. So now, anytime you want to create any work, you have to create a sketch. Now, when you are creating a sketch, are you creating a design? You have to select. If it's a design, you come to create. Now, you want to create a component. You know, any part that you see is a component. Any machine that you see, they are all components. So you have to create a component. To create, you can choose new component. You give the component a name. Let me say comb. I'm just trying to create something. So I said comb. So when I come to browse, you see the interface. When I open it, I can hide this. So for comment, offline comment. So, but this is my comb. Now you can see my comb is here. If I want to show my origin, all these things that are here, they are trying to tell you the components, like the properties of that comb, that component that you've made. Component is comb. Now let me start by explaining this that is here. This is called, when you save your work, it's going to be saved with this name. It's going to be saved. Now we've not saved it, so we've not actually given the file a name. You understand? So document setting, the units that you want to use, this is where you apply the units that you want to use. If I want to change the unit I'm using here, I can easily just come here and change it from millimeter, inch, foot, depending on what I'm using. So we basically just leave it at millimeter. So we leave it at millimeter. Now you come here, you can take this drop down arrow brings it down. Now name the view. There are basically 3 views: your top, your front, and your side view. This is actually your home, which shows your work in isometric. So if I click on top view now, you see it brings the top view to me. If I click on front view, it changes it to the front view. If I click on right view, it changes to the right. If I want it to be isometric, I click on home, it brings it back home. Some of these things are very important when you start to model some things. So that's all for that for now. Then you come to the origin. Origin actually tells you where. Now the origin 0 is usually your middle. So it's your middle. Then we have where we call the x-axis. When I click on it, you see that is showing me the x-axis. Are you seeing it? That's the x-axis. Here, this red line is your x-axis. Y-axis is the one pointing up. That's your y-axis. Your z-axis is this green line. According to this software, every other software has their own x and y axis with their own orientation. Now look at your xy axis. If this is your x and this is your y, so your xy will be a plane. This is usually a plane, not like a line. These are usually planes. Your xz axis is your bottom. You understand? xz. If this is your x-axis and this is your z-axis, this will be your xz axis. You understand? And your yz, this is your y-axis, then this, and this is your z-axis. So this is your yz. You see the way it is placed. So I think that's all we can say about that for now. So you can see them. If you want to see them properly, if you don't want to see them, you can highlight them. You understand? If I don't want to see them, if I want to see them, so that's it. Now let's go to our combo. Anytime you create an object, you create that object to have an origin. You understand? So look at this object now. This is origin. Usually when you create it, it takes the origin of your center. Any component you create takes the origin of your center, but you can actually change the origin depending on what you want. So now that you've created a part called the comb, a component or a part called the comb, what you need to do is to start to sketch on that. So to sketch on that, you can come to create sketch. Create sketch. So when you are creating a sketch, it will ask you which plane. I told you about these 3, the planes. These are plane. Anytime you want to create a sketch, you need to select the plane that you need. So we can choose to use this plane or this plane downward or this plane, depend on what you are doing. So let me use my top plane, which is XZ. So I click on this and I'm using this plane. I can come now. Let me be explaining. These are tools that you use to model. This is the normal line tool that you can just click. Now in this line tool, if you want to change it to arc, you see line and arc. If you want to change it to arc, bring it back to this point, then drag it. Do you see that I've been able to change it to arc? If I want it to bend this way, I take it this way. If I want it to bend downward, I take it downward. Please, can you see what I just did? If I bring it back again, are you seeing what I'm doing? Are you seeing? So as I'm creating it, it's creating a relationship. If I want it to continue to be a line, are you seeing what I'm doing? Are you seeing what I'm doing? So that is that for, so I take it back here, bring it outward, take it downward. Are you seeing what we are doing? So we've been able to create this sketch. Look at this sketch, isn't it wonderful? I've been able to create this sketch. Now if you are done with the sketch, you can click finish sketch. That's to tell you it will turn black. You are done with this sketch. Now sorry, I didn't show you how to move your part. So to move this, you can come here and use your arrow to move it like this, or you move it this way just by clicking your scroll mouse, holding it, and you can pan across. Now if you want it to remain in isometric, you want to take it back to isometric, you can hold your shift and hold your pan and rotate it. Are you seeing what I did? I'm rotating it. If that's not enough for you, you want it to go back to isometric the way it is, you can come here. I showed you something here, origin, sorry, so home. Are you seeing the home that is there? So if I click on home, I've actually made it isometric. So if you don't want to do it, you can also right click. When you right click, okay, no, sorry. Okay, if you want to zoom, you can see it to pan, to zoom, all these things. You can right click and it will show you everything. If you come here, you can actually click home here and it will bring you back to home. That's if you don't want to go through this route. So most of the times, this software, they have different views, different tools, the same tools, different tools that have the same function to help you in navigation. So if you go to home, if you click on this go to home, it will take you to the home. Now look at this drop down arrow here. We have the perspective. You are in orthographic, you can change view. Perspective, you can change to perspective with orthographic faces. You can change to current, it's fixed to view. You can change fixed distance like that. You can go to reset home. You can reset your home. I will teach you how to save a particular orientation. Now set view as front. You want to set a particular view as front, reset front view, all these things you can do them. So let's just go to home. So now you see this thing that we just created, this sketch that we create. This sketch, we did not define the sketch. When I say we did not define the sketch, we didn't give this sketch a dimension to constrain this sketch. So this sketch can actually move. If I click on this, did you see that it is moving? It can move, which is very dangerous. When you are having an assembly, when you have a sketch that can move like this, it's very dangerous. So once it moves like this, you want to take it back to its original, you can do undo. When you do undo, it takes it back. If you do redo, it brings it back to what you've already do, undo. So that's the function of undo, or your Control Z or your Control Y. Control Y, Control Z. So normal function that you use in your Microsoft Word. So now to go back to this and edit this, that's where this panel comes to play. I can just click on this panel. Can click on this panel and I've come back to my sketch. Double click on the panel, I've come back to my sketch. Or if I don't want to come, I can come here and click on this to go back. Let me finish now. It's no longer in sketch view. So to take it back to sketch view, I could just click on this, double click on it, double click on this. I've come back to sketch view. So once I'm in sketch view, all I need to do now is to apply constraint to this model. to apply a constraint to the model. So now to constrain this to this, that's where all these other tools comes to play. They call it the constraints. Now I click on this line, holding my control, click on this line, and I can apply my constraint. Coincide them. So it's now at the center. Are you getting it? Now if I try to, let me escape. If I try to move this line, you discover that it's not moving past that place. It's not moving past this point. That's what constraint can do for you. Now let me remove that constraint. Ctrl Z. Now if I want this line to be parallel to my, we call this my x-axis, right? This red one. Let's go back so that you know what I'm saying. Top. Sorry. No. So look at this line now. I want it to be parallel to this line. All I just need to do is to click this, and click this, and click this face, and do parallel. Did you see that? It has created this place parallel to this line. That's one thing you can do. If I don't want to see this face, I want to see my top view, I can just click on top, takes me to my top view, use my arrow to pan it to where I want. Then look at this. Let me escape. I want this to be 90 degrees. I want it to be straight. So when I click on this, when I click on this line, click on this line and look at your horizontal. So to make this vertical or to make it at 90 degrees, I can just click on this and this and make them perpendicular. So when I click perpendicular, did you see that it's straight? I can click this, holding my control, shift. So click on this. Since they are already, let me explain something. Pardon me. So look at it. When I'm using my perpendicular, I can click this, hold my control, click this, then I now go to perpendicular. Since I've already clicked perpendicular, there's no need clicking. If I want to make any other thing perpendicular, there's no need going back to and clicking this. I can just click the two lines that I want to make perpendicular. And this constraint type that is here is trying to tell you that there's a perpendicular relationship here. Here is telling you that there's a parallel relationship between this line and this line. This is trying to tell you that there's a tangency between this line and this arc. You understand? So now these are just relations, constraint. Now we can add dimension. Now to add dimension, you can come to so the shortcut key is actually D. So, but you can come to create and you come to sketch dimension. So under sketch dimension, you can click here. You understand? You dimension it. Let's say 100. It's too much based on what we started with. Let's say 10. Let me reduce it to 5. So let's make it 8. So we have constrained this dimension from this. Now probably I want this line and this line to be coincident, so I can click this and this and come to my constraint. I want them to be on the same line. It's either I click my D, escape, D to dimension, and this point, and I put a dimension of 0. So you can see that it's showing me if I want to put a dimension of 0, it's not allowing me. So this is what I'll show you to do. This is what you do. You come to this relation, you can delete any relation you've added before. It's no big deal with that. So I delete this relation. If I move this, do you see that it's moving? I can now click on this. Click on this. Click on this and click on this. To this line and this line, so did you see what I did? I made this the center mid plane, so I put it on the center at the mid plane. Are you seeing this? Now let's come to make this normal to your view so that you can see it. You can come and click the top plane again. Come here and click top plane and pan it. So now come and see something. If we move this, sorry, let me escape this. If we move this, did you see that it is moving? Which is very bad. To have a really standard sketch, you have to constrain everything. Now let me come and show you something. You can actually apply all these constraints. I'll be talking about them as we go. I don't want to bore you today with all of them. So I'll be talking about most of them as we go. This also, I'll be talking about it as we progress. Now, look at something. Let's go back to our D shortcut key for dimensioning. So we can dimension here and say 4. We can dimension here and say 2. Here also, and say 6. Here also can give it a dimension and say 3. You understand? Here also can give it a dimension and say 5. Can give this a dimension also and say 3. All this dimension is to completely constrain this. Now, can give this a dimension also and say 3. Now look at this. We made this center, but we didn't put it parallel to this line. So let's make it parallel to this line. We click this. So did you see now? It's now parallel to the line. It's on the same line. Now let's escape. If I try to move this, did you see that it's still moving? I have to give it an overall dimension. So let's go back to your D shortcut key D and click here, and you click here to give this a dimension of 20. So I want to give this a dimension of 17. Are you seeing that I've successfully constrained this? Now escape. Now try to move this and see. Let's try to move it. Move any of the parts. Are they moving? They are not moving. Why aren't they moving? Because you have successfully constrained them. Now let me delete one of the relationship. Now look at something. There is a difference between a sketch that is successfully constrained and a sketch that is not constrained. If you notice, this place is green, this side is white. Do you understand? If it is fully constrained, they will all be white. If it's not fully constrained, they will be green. Some parts will be green. Let's say Ctrl Z now. Did you see? When it is fully constrained, it's all white. So trying to tell you that your object is fixed. It cannot be. If you move this thing, the dimensions will not change. I don't know if you get what I'm saying, but this is it now. So we go to our home and we are up. So now this is now the time we can now add some things. There's what we call the sketch fillet. We can add this sketch fillet. If you come, you are seeing fillet here, right? Chamfer, blend and the rest, offset, trim. We'll be using these things as we go. You can apply them here, or you wait after you must have applied your feature. I didn't tell you Fusion 360 is feature-based modeling. It uses what we call the feature-based modeling. So when you come, let's go back to solid. These are the features. These are features. So E for extrude. If I click on E, extrude now, did you see that it's telling me how many mm do I want to extrude? Let me say I put 10. Did you see that it has extruded this thing 10 mm? Can you see what it has done? It has extruded this 10 mm. Can you see it? Can you see that it has extruded this 10 mm? To rotate it, I told you press your shift and you can move it wherever you want to move it to. Come back to normal, your home, and it is looking like that. Now if you don't want it to be 10 mm, you can always click on this, double click on it, and you can reduce it to whatever suits you. I made it 5 now. Are you seeing it? It's now 5. You can, I told you it's feature based. You can go back to your sketch. You can move this back to where you did sketch before you apply any changes that you want to apply before you bring it back to where you've extruded it. Now, you can actually change the view to 4 view. It will show you the top, the front, the top, and the isometric view. If you don't want this, you can go back to your single view. Now you see, this is just for the grid. If I click grid layout, if I unclick this, you will not see this grid. If I unclick this, you will not see all this grid. They will not be showing. So it mainly is good to have the grid at times, but you can always remove the grid if you don't want. So your visibility for your environment, your visual style, how do you want your work shaded? You can see the shortcut key, control whatever. So we'll be continuing here in our next class. My battery is almost down, so stop.